All right, welcome everybody. Today is November 18th, not November 4th. I did not update our slide there. This is Jackie Travieso. I'm joined by Dale Ziegler. We welcome you to the MVP office hours. And if you haven't had a chance, on the right-hand side of our opening slide, we've got some events that are listed, and every time we hear of a new one or there are date sets, we add them. So if any of these are in your local area and you want to check them out, I highly recommend it. Or if you need an excuse to go skiing, check out Snow Force or Tahoe Dreamin', I definitely recommend that you check those out as well. All right, Dale, let's go to our next slide, please. So this is an open discussion. For those of you who may be attending for the first time, we hold this call on the first and third Friday of the month. We always say that there is no question or topic too big or too small. If we don't have an answer or suggestion or an experience with your particular question, then we will go out to the community and see what we can do to get you connected with somebody or at least point you in the right direction for some good research. This recording or this call is recorded. We post it on the community and out on Twitter. So if you ever miss one, you can always get to those links. And I think most everybody has already put themselves on mute, but if you haven't, go ahead and do that, and then you can unmute yourself when it's time to chat. When you do have a question, if you would just kindly use the chat hand or raise your hand in the chat, that would be great. And then announce yourself when responding so we know who we're talking to. That'll be helpful. So next slide, please. Today's special guest, if you have not had an opportunity to ever interact with this gentleman, Phil Weinmeister, he is incredibly smart, 10 times certified with Salesforce. He's among one of the first to be Community Cloud certified. So we want to hear a little bit more about that. He's written a book, and I own this book, and it's really cool. I reference it often, called Practical Salesforce Development Without Code. So it's written for us admins. Fantastic, right? He's been a Dreamforce presenter. He's presented at some local events. He's a Demo Jam winner. Not many people can say that, right? Or I'm assuming not many people can say that they're a Six Sigma yellow belt. I have not done any research into that, so I don't know how special that is, but I'm thinking it's pretty darn special. So Phil, since you're on the line, you want to go ahead and say hello to the gang and introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit about what the Community Cloud is for those who may be new?
Sure, absolutely. Glad to be here. I feel like Jackie has set the bar so high that all I can do is come in below everyone's expectations today. So hopefully you guys will feel like I'm a decent addition today. So thank you. Those are some kind words. So I've been working on the Salesforce platform for about 6 years now, and it is awesome, as I assume most of you guys think as well. And so, sure, I can kick it off by talking a little bit about what I've done with communities. So and if you don't mind, I'll kind of talk about how I get into that. When I first started on the platform, I was an admin and got familiar with Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, all those goodies. By the way, I am at an airport, so I apologize if you hear some background noise. And I went from an admin role to a consulting role with EDL Consulting a few years back. And we had various projects, again, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and I was put on a communities implementation. This is back when communities was very new. And if any of you guys have touched communities at all, and if you've touched it for a while, you'll remember what it was to build a community a few years back. Let's just say unless you had amazing Visualforce developers, they were just flat out ugly. So still fun though. And now we're doing a lot with Lightning. There's Lightning Bolt's been announced at Dreamforce, and so it's a different world using Lightning components now to build communities. And basically, I think the easiest way to understand what a community is from a Salesforce perspective, just more technology-wise, is this is the native way to take the internal business data and business logic and expose it out. So whether that's customers, employees or partners, you want a way to get that data and show it to them. And that's what Communities allows you to do. So I don't want to talk too long straight. I can give a little bit more explanation, but does that hopefully that helps. Does anybody have any questions or comments based on that quick intro to Community Cloud?
No, that was a fantastic explanation. And now is the time for anybody on the line to go ahead and pose questions of Phil and our other attendees. So, and it doesn't just have to be about Community Cloud. We come to you with all kinds of experience. So please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. While you're thinking about your questions, Phil, can you give us an example of what type of data and in what ways are you exposing that data to your audience?
Sure, absolutely. So the other piece of this, there's the data element, but there's the social piece as well. So anyone on the phone who's familiar with Salesforce, you guys are familiar with Chatter, and Chatter has obviously its own internal functions, and some of you may use it a lot, some of you may feel like it's a little bit of a nuisance, but within Communities, it's very powerful, and it's really a central piece of that. So it's not just data, pushing it out, but like Jackie was getting at, it's also about how these customers, employees, and partners are going to interact with that data. So I recently joined 7 Summits. We are a community solutions provider, and so we announced just before I came aboard at Dreamforce our Lightning Bolt, and I'll give you a little overview of that. But basically, we created what's called Partner First. So that is, it's a lightning bolt, and I'll kind of go in reverse order to explain what that is at a higher level. But basically, this is an out-of-the-box starting point. Kind of think of just a managed package. You install Partner First, and you get all this partner interaction goodness. So you get various pages and lightning components for partners to interact with. So if you think about like how would this be used, who would buy this? So a partner comes along and says, or a company comes along and says, we interact with our partners quite a bit, resellers, let's say, and our data is in Salesforce. We want to funnel leads to these individuals. We want them to be able to track their opportunities, and we want them to also interact with internal employees. So this is a way to do that. And sure, that's something that has been possible for a while, but it hasn't been possible through Lightning Communities, and it really is a different way to look at things. So it's using Lightning components. If you guys are at all familiar with the Lightning components, they're fully responsive. So they're you can pull up like the Partner First application or another Lightning Bolt, and there it is. It works on your phone, and basically there's no additional development for that. So pretty powerful stuff. So that's kind of the Partner First. And just to take a quick step back about Lightning Bolt, some of you guys may have heard about that at Dreamforce. And basically, think about it this way: if you do know about Community Cloud, you'll know about the Napili template. So that's been renamed now. It's called Customer Service as of Winter 17. So they're slowly phasing out the Hawaiian names of some of the templates. There were a couple others as well. So that Napili was basically the one template that existed to start with. So if you wanted to build a community in Lightning, you start with Napili and you go from there, and that's all you had. Now, what you can do is, like we at 7 Summits can go in, take Napili, add our own custom components, add new pages, actually set up the navigation between those pages, then package that up and make that a Lightning Bolt. So what it means for you is, instead of you having to start with Napili and we say, here's a bag of components, just drop them in and figure out where they go. And here's a 30-page document on that. It's here you go. Here's a template of an entire site that's customized to your business needs. So it's actually pretty awesome. You guys will hear more about that, I think, over the next 3 to 6 months. But hopefully that was helpful for any of you guys out there. And definitely, if you have any more questions about templates or Lightning Bolt, I'd be happy to speak to that.
That's great. That's wonderful explanations, especially around the NAPIWI. Fantastic. So if for those who are on the line, can you raise your hand if you're currently using or exploring the idea of using Community Cloud, just out of curiosity? I won't call on you, I promise. Fantastic. Okay, we've got the right audience. I just wanted to make sure we've got, I think there was about 8 people who raised their hands, so fantastic.
I was looking at the attendee list of people raising their hands, and it lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Okay, well, good. I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about the right thing. So given that you all are using, or a good portion of you are using Community Cloud, are you running into any challenges? Because Phil is the expert on the line here to kind of either guide you, give you an answer, or maybe even connect with you at some point via Twitter or what have you. So I just want to let you know there's no wrong question.
Yeah, and I'll also throw out there, if you guys want to simply just share what you guys are doing or get confirmation on something as well, that's great. It's always good for us to share some of the the war stories of what we're going through to build a solution or build a product. So I'd be interested in hearing about that.
Looks like we have our first question from Cal. Cal, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away.
Yeah, hi Phil, this is Cal Smith.
Oh, great. How are you doing, Cal?
Doing great. Like you, I go back to the first communities. I built one right after they were announced, and that was like shooting at a moving target because they were releasing changes as we were working, it seemed. But they've certainly come a long way. So anyway, my question for you, because I field a lot of questions on Stack Exchange about communities. We often see a lot of questions about partner communities. And as you know, they're a different animal than your regular customer community. Oftentimes we have people ask us, well, let me start over here. One of the most difficult or challenging things with communities, as I'm sure you're aware of, is handling security and ownership. So with
Sure.
partner communities, oftentimes they're set up where the partner owns the customer, user, or part. What am I trying to say here? Community member, and typically the associated accounts.
Sure.
And visibility of who can see what accounts and so forth. Then also is an issue, and they want to try to take their accounts, and then there'll be child accounts and so forth, and stack them so that they can limit the visibility of who can see whose accounts. Do you have any experience with trying to do those kind of things where partner users, child accounts can't see each other? I've seen a lot of questions around this, and it's very difficult to achieve in a partner community.
Yeah, so to directly answer the question, I have not encountered that exact situation with talking about child accounts and basically controlling visibility and access down to that level. But that's something, yeah, let's talk about that, because we could learn it together. But in general, You're definitely right. I'll kind of maybe answer a little more generally, and then throw in a couple things for anyone else who might be interested. So Cal was talking about partner communities being a little bit of a different beast, and so when you think about communities, there are technically, if we're well, there's technically more, but we'll just say technically 3 types of licenses. There's an employee license, I think, but we will just leave that alone for now. There's customer community plus, and partner community.
Yeah, and the Community Plus, you should mention, is a completely different license. The sharing on that is not at all like a regular customer community license.
Exactly.
Because I've done Apex managed sharing in order to share records for some of my clients on those. So people get very confused when they get into a Community Plus because they're thinking that, oh, gee, I get those extra objects, and then they realize that it's essentially the old customer portal license. It's more or less the old partner license, really, that was used in the portals.
Well, you're right. I mean, it is. So it's more. In a lot of senses, it's more analogous to the partner community licenses than the original than the current customer community licenses. So basically, this, again, just for the general group here, if you try to make delineations between the different types of users and licenses, this visibility and sharing is such a huge thing. So basically, with community users, first of all, the assumption is that the hope is you'll have high volume. You don't have to, but this is for communities that will support many thousands and thousands of users. And I should know the number, the posted number off the top of my head, what is officially supported, but it's a very high number. Now, when you get into some of the more complex scenarios around sharing, it implies certain things for the platform. And some of the stuff is beyond me to a degree about in terms of the actual impacts, but basically it does not use the regular sharing mechanism. So everything that you can do as an admin to say, okay, I want to set up this object, keep it private, and I want to only share to this individual over here, and I want to share to this person based on some criteria via Apex. You can't do that with regular community users. That is just not possible. You have something called a sharing set. I won't go into a sharing set, but it's very limited. Basically, you can say, hey, if user A rolls up to the same account as contact B or user B, then they both can see the same case, something like that. But it's not very granular. So when you get into some of this stuff, you basically have the same sharing capabilities when you talk about customer community. So people pay a lot more for those because if you have a community and there's basically any sharing rule, any security rules besides kind of your basic vanilla, you're going to probably have to fork over a little more money for those higher price licenses. So it's definitely an interesting thing. So Cal, to round that out, with your specific question, let's take a look at that. I'd be curious about that particular scenario. The last thing I'll say about it is, for anybody who is interested in the Community Cloud Consultant exam, what Cal described is actually a very large portion of the exam. So it's less about features and functions, although that is a piece of it, and quite a bit of it is around solutions and requirements. And here's a scenario: you have this company with partner A and partner B, and they want to do X and Y. How would you potentially set that up? and you have to give, it's all multiple choice, of course, but it's not so straightforward. I would say it was not extremely difficult, but it was difficult. It was not not just, hey, which of these tools is a way to do X in cloud. So that's for any of you guys considering. Definitely study what Cal brought up with sharing.
Yeah, well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate you being honest and saying you don't know how, because there's a lot of other people who don't know how either. We were never able to answer that question when it popped up, and that's that's one of the reasons I asked it. I've also done communities using the high volume customer portal, the HVCP license, which I'm sure you're familiar with, where most of the standard objects really can't be shared, but it has its use case.
Yep, it is a little different, and I'm kind of curious. This is really just generally, and Jackie, I don't know if you can ask questions out to everybody the other way around, but I'm kind of curious. Is there anyone else on who is right now doing something with Lightning components specifically for Community Cloud, or working with any of the Lightning templates? And if so, if you want to share kind of what you're doing, I'd be very interested in hearing.
When I did that, this was back several years ago, and this was a customer who already had the licenses. But I know Salesforce still makes them available. The advantage of them is that you're not paying for peak usage. Instead, you're paying for average usage. It's based off, it was originally meant for customer service portals, where they would have peak times of year. And so you're not typically trying to share a huge number of different objects, like, opportunities not available, for example, or events. So you're mostly limited to custom objects and accounts and contacts.
Right. Yeah, it is a little different. I think I will say these days with the kind of standard communities licenses, they have done a better job with providing an understanding of exactly what you can do, what the scenarios are. They've put a lot of time into that. So I think these days to kind of walk up on the street and be new to communities and look at the different licenses, I think it's a little easier to understand some of those. And at one time, I think they had a variety of that. It was a little more difficult.
Yes, yeah. Licensing is much more straightforward today than it was 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I would agree with you there.
All right, thank you for all of that input, Cal. That was good stuff. To repose Phil's question, is anybody currently using the Lightning templates that have been made available? Okay. Do you guys have any other questions for Phil around community or anything else? And like I said at the beginning of the call, there's no question too big or too small.
And if nobody has any questions, if there's interest, we can definitely shift to more general platform stuff, or but I can go over, we'll try to be concise, go over kind of my top Community Cloud features that came out in Winter 17. If you guys are interested or anything else like that, let me know.
You guys want to use your raise your hand to let us know if you're interested in his top winter 17s? All right, go for it. We got some interest. Thank you all.
Okay, great. I hope these aren't just like bots, raising their hand.
No. They're real people.
I'm just kidding. I know Cal's there. That's good. I'm just kidding. All right, so this is actually available on the web, and I'll get the link to Jackie who can post it, and you can check it out. But what I do every release, I get every Salesforce release, I do go through and read the release notes in detail. I used to go through basically all of them, which now I don't know how that was possible. That was kind of crazy. Now I just focus on the Community Cloud items. And there's about, actually put a list together just a little while ago. There's about 70 new features in Community Cloud just in Winter 17. So what I do is I go through and basically I have a few different factors and kind of add points together and come up with my top ones that I write a blog post on it. So I'm just going to cover that. Hopefully that's of value to you. So top 5, not necessarily in a particular order. Number 1 is template packaging and distribution. So really that's Lightning Bolt. And I'll touch on that a little bit more. So earlier on, I talked about what Bolt is and the ability to take Napili as a starting point and now customize that and basically save that and use that as a starting point for someone else. So that could be in your own org, or you, like I mentioned, you could package that up and export that. So let's talk about that for a second. Like, how does that actually work? Because before Winter 17, there was no way to do what I'm describing. You could build a community, but you couldn't put it in a managed package as a template or anything like that. Now you can. So basically, when you go ahead and create a Lightning community. So you say new, click on the new community button, pick Napili, and let's say you drop a few extra components on the home page, configure a few things. Okay, and that's your template, okay, or that's your community. Now, if you go to the Settings tab from Community Builder, and at the bottom select Developer, you can actually export that template. So that, again, that wasn't there before. And so you go in and basically create listing details. So this is like almost like AppExchange. If any of you guys have gone through the listing process, it's similar. And you guys, as users, I assume most everyone here has used AppExchange. So you have your images on the right, some carousel images. You can go through those, and then you have description on the left, some bullet points, features. Same thing. So you capture all that, and then you export it. And then once it's exported, it's immediately available for use in your own community. The use in your own community is probably a little bit limited, but the real value comes in with that package. So then you can take it, go and create a package. Now, when you say, add some component or add something to this package, now Lightning Community Template is listed. So you can select that, and all of your exported templates will show up. Select that, add it to your package, upload your package. Now, what you can do is take a community you've built and send it to, let anyone else install it in their own org, as long as they have the same underlying data model. But you can do that right now. You can create a community and give somebody the link, and they can install it, and they'll get whatever you have. And it includes all the Lightning components and everything like that. So if there's anything new, they'll get that. So it's pretty cool stuff. So that's definitely a big change right there. What I'll do is after each one, I'll pause for like 5-10 seconds. If anybody's any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep going through the other few that I have.
We do have somebody who's got their hand raised. Sonia, you want to pose your question, and if it's related to either Winter 17 or something else, that's fine too. Sonia, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay, so go ahead and go on if Sonia, oh, she just gave me a chat. She's all set. Okay, never mind. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, sounds good. So number 2 is controlling public access for each page in your community. So I made a comment in my blog post that it's not the sexiest item in the release, but it's an important one that right now, in the past, it wasn't so easy to control the page-by-page security of your community. Now it's actually very simple. So for each page, you can go in and basically say authenticated or unauthenticated. And what that does is it forces a login for that specific page. And again, page by page. So there's a little bit more to it than that in terms of what they can see as the page loads. But at the most basic level now, you can control that through declarative measures, clicks, go in, set that for each page. And I think that's pretty nice to have. I've used it a couple times. I'm going to keep going because that one's pretty straightforward. Customer service or an Appealy template now supports other objects. And so here it's saying, an Appealy template. It actually really is other, like any lightning bolt solution. So think of Appealy as just your foundation, your starting point. But any new lightning bolt solutions that come out will support these as well. So there are a few items in here. Work order, that's I think a relatively new object. I've never actually touched that one myself, but work order and work order line item for field service, those are supported in communities now out of the box. A few others, product, that one, my last employer was CloudCraze. They do e-commerce on Salesforce, and so I'm very familiar with the product object. That one can be used service appointment and a few others, dashboard, things like that. So over time, not every single object, every standard object is immediately supported. Sometimes there's some behavior and functionality that comes along with an object that has to be supported, and that's why sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get some of these out. So there's about 10 different objects. Next item, just 2 more here. Expose content from external data sources within your Lightning community. That's pretty cool. And basically what we're talking about here is using Salesforce Connect or Files Connect and taking in data from, let's say, SAP, another Salesforce org, or through Files Connect like Google Drive or SharePoint. And I think I've not personally taken advantage of either of those, but I see a lot of value in that. And I've definitely been a part of implementations where the data resides elsewhere and we need to bring that in. So I think that's a good thing. Have it in Lightning templates and not have to write code to do some of this is pretty awesome stuff. The last one, then you guys can, if you have any comments or questions, we can open it up, is basically an enhanced rich content editor. So for anyone who has been using the Lightning templates, this is pretty useful. So on the surface it may seem just kind of blah, okay, great, you have a text editor and I can type in text, but it really is more of a rich content editor now. And if any of you guys are familiar with Lightning App Builder, that's the equivalent of Community Builder within the Lightning experience. There is a rich text editor there. That is not the same. So that's behind. And actually Lightning App Builder in general is pretty far behind what Community Builder is able to do, just FYI. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm familiar with the rich text editor, you can't do as much. I don't even think you can put an image in. I think it literally is just text. But with the rich content editor, what you can do is you can add images, you can add videos, you can actually get into the source and put in some HTML. So it's pretty nice to be able to put in just something that maybe you don't need a lightning component. You don't need to build a specific lightning component for it. Like in the example they have a YouTube video. Okay, maybe you just want to highlight a video and rotate it out once a month. Okay, you can do that with no work. It's already there, available to you, and it looks good. It's responsive and all that good stuff. So those are the 5 that I identified, and definitely, if anybody wants to hear more about those, you can always follow up with me afterwards.
Does anyone have follow-up questions for Phil? That's some good stuff, and what a great recap on all of the Winter 17 features and functionalities that you find valuable. Phil, what is your blog address so everyone can write that down and check it out?
I am literally in the process of moving my blog, so I'm not even finished with it yet. But I'm going to tell you the URL just because I don't want to make you wait. So, Wineforce. Yes, I went ahead with the force thing. Wineforce.wordpress.com. It's a little bit of a work in progress. My last couple of posts aren't there quite yet, but you can go ahead and you can find most everything there. So just keep that in mind. It'll look a little bit better within the next week or so. But wineforce.wordpress.com. and check it out.
Fantastic. Well, folks, you heard it here first.
That's right. That is true. You get the world premiere of content being launched through MVP office hours.
That's fantastic. I love it. All right. Well, I know that Phil only has a couple more minutes with us. He is getting ready to jump on a plane. So if anybody has any questions or comments, thoughts, before we bid him adieu and safe travels. Let me just check to see if anyone's got their hand raised. I don't see anyone. But now is your chance. Otherwise, Phil, we thank you ever so much for spending this time with us and giving us the lowdown on Community Cloud. It was a great overview, great information, and I have a better understanding. This is not a tool that I use or ever had an opportunity to delve in myself. So I appreciate all of the cloud knowledge drop there. And then, of course, your Winter 17 recap. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Happy to be on. Thanks a lot. And I was, of course, joking about the bots, everyone. I didn't mean to offend anybody. They thought I was calling them a bot. But,
no, not at all.
If you do want to, if you have follow-up questions or anything like that, you can contact me through the URL that Jackie mentioned, but you can hit me up on Twitter. It's just Phil Weinemeister. So I'd love to hear from you guys. And thanks so much for the time.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
Phil.
you. We're going to let you go. Everybody still hang out. We've got a couple more things to talk about. But Phil, safe travels, and thank you again for joining us. I hope you'll join us again in the future. All right, before we let everyone go, is there any questions that maybe not around Community Cloud, but just in general that you want to pose to the group, since we've got a couple more minutes left? And if not, that's okay too. Our special guest next month, December 2nd, is Fabien Talion. He is out of Paris. He just finished up the French Touch Dreaming experience. So looking forward to hearing about that. He is a technical architect, 8-time certified. He is also the co-organizer of the Paris Salesforce Developer Group. And he's also Analytics Cloud Brown Belt accredited. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about that. I also believe that he is our first international guest on MVP Office Hours. I'm going to have to double check that, but I think that's the case. If you're not familiar with Fabian, you can follow him on Twitter or go ahead and catch his blog that's listed there in the slide. If you have suggestions on other special guests that you would like to see on our calls, please let us know and we'll do what we can to get them scheduled. We are now scheduled out through mid-February, so we've got a lot of special guests lined up for you, a lot of topics coming your way. And I think one of the things that I missed about Fabian is that he is coming to us with obviously a lot of analytics specialties, and along with Apex and Visualforce and Lightning components will be the things that are kind of his playground. So I will turn it over to you guys one last time to see if you have any questions or thoughts. Otherwise, we're going to wish you a very happy weekend and a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we will hope to see you next month on December 2nd. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.